The constant demonization and lying about immigrants is having disastrous consequences for American society. I'm not going to get into everything, but I want to just show how a lack of critical thinking leads us to where we are, where we just had another innocent person, Alex Preddy, murdered in cold blood in Minneapolis. I don't want to go through the video. It's pretty disturbing. I think we've all seen it at this particular point. To get somebody to believe that what ICE is doing in Border Patrol, what they are doing they're going door to door asking for papers. This idea that they got to be here legally and that they're pro law and order. Vafangul, no, you're not, because if you support what ICE is doing, chances are you support a 34-time felon. And I'm going to get to why you excuse that. But it comes down to because you believe this stuff, and instead of going after the people who are really causing problems in society, why things are so unaffordable, no, they get us to fight amongst ourselves while they buy another yacht. And it's the rich scapegoating the poor, the rich scapegoating the immigrants, so that you're not looking at the rich who are actually causing it. So it makes my skin crawl to look at this lying piece of garbage here. But I have to show how he's lying. Now, I've mentioned this before. The first part is true about affordability, but then he goes into he just lies through his teeth. And there's no pushback, no questions, no follow-up, nothing. Well, because it's the Trump News Network.
Young people are saying housing is way too expensive.
That's true.
Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who are taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens. And at the same time,
that's just absolutely not true. It's demonstrably not true. Anybody over the age of 15 knows that what happened after or during COVID, we all went through this. It's recent memory. He's lying. It wasn't immigrants. It wasn't legal or illegal immigrants that were doing this. Well, there's one in particular from South Africa that was involved. It had to do with mega rich, very, very wealthy companies like Zillow and BlackRock or Blackstone, whatever the hell the private equity company is. They're the ones who, starting in about 2021, went on a year and a half program of deliberately overbidding on houses, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 or more over asking price. Now, you don't have to be a Harvard Law or a Yale law graduate or even an economist to know when you have a sustained campaign nationwide of deliberately overbidding on houses, you're going to drive up the price. So it's people like J.D. Vance and the people he works for. These rich maniacs are the ones that have caused the affordability crisis. It's not immigrants. He's lying through his teeth. So these kind of lies, scapegoating innocent immigrants, scapegoating innocent people for what the rich are doing, is how you get people to actually support policies like going door to door. And here you've got the same people, after this man was murdered, even though he had a legal firearm, it was taken from him and then he was killed. The same people that were, well, let's just go to the evidence. Okay, so the top picture here is, of course, Alex Preddy. He's got a phone. I'm going to blow it up there for, whoa, that's the wrong one. He's got a phone in his hand. He does have a concealed legal firearm that is taken away from him. You can see in the video, one of the Border Patrol agents take it away from him. He's being pushed to the ground and then he is murdered. He is hit with like 10 bullets. And now you've got people who are saying he shouldn't have been taken. The same people who cheerleaded Kyle Rittenhouse. This is Minneapolis. I think this is Minneapolis, but he's a counter protester at a BLM protest. He has a firearm. So you could go and see hundreds, if not thousands, of so-called MAGA pro Second Amendment guys, just like Kyle Rittenhouse, taking machine guns and taking firearms openly. And the issue is not whether what Kyle's doing here and this other guy, whether it's legal. I believe it is legal to open carry there. It's not a question of whether he had a legal firearm. The problem is this guy is hailed as a hero, and this guy, who's got a phone, who never drew his weapon, is being demonized so that their team, because they can't stand immigrants, they hate immigrants to such a degree, they will actually demonize an innocent man who was murdered because they believe this scumbag.
Expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who are taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens.
They're not, they're not even blaming the bankers who gave them the loans. So let's say they were illegal. Yeah, illegal on stolen land. Let's say they really are illegal. Where is the outrage at the banks for giving them a loan? They never seem to demonize the rich. And the problem here is the lack of critical thought and analysis. You just set that aside because it's my team, right or wrong. And why is that? Well, because again, it's xenophobia. It's a fear or a dislike of people who are perceived as foreign or strange. They look different. They sound different. Listen to me. If you sound like I do, and I'm from Long Island, let me know in the comments. Because I've always said I'm not going to have any kind of appeal outside of the New York, New Jersey area, and the numbers they're kind of seem to bad at it. Anyway, technical phrase here for what they're doing. YourLogicalFallacyIs.com is called special pleading. You move the goalposts or made up an exception when your claim was shown to be false. And logical fallacies show us where we have errors in our thinking. And it's where we've gotten our conclusion wrong. How we reached this conclusion is wrong. So, just like with this scumbag, he's reaching the wrong conclusion because his facts are absolutely his facts do not support the conclusion. You remember in the argument clinic that an argument is a collected series of statements leading to a definite proposition.
An argument is a collected series of statements to establish a definite proposition.
No, it isn't?
Yes, it is. It isn't just contradiction.
He's just making an outright claim with no factual support. So what these people are doing, like always demonizing immigrants, always praising their team when their team is in power. They can do no wrong. Instead of calling this murder for what it is, because we all saw it, no. Instead of cheerleading this man for exercising his Second Amendment right to bring a firearm legally to a protest, just like Kyle Rittenhouse did, who they championed as a hero, they have to demonize him. Why? Special pleading. There you go. My team, right or wrong. It's the special sauce. It's the secret sauce that binds together all cults. You cannot have a cult without special pleading. And so I just a little more on this. Humans are funny. Whoa. Humans are funny creatures and have a foolish aversion to being wrong. Because you also have another logical fallacy, the sunk cost fallacy, that you've got so much invested in this, you can't stop now. It's like gamblers. And why gamblers can't stop. Well, I've already spent $100 of the rent money on this slot machine. I can't stop now. It's foolish, of course, because we all make mistakes, and it's being an adult. It's being a competent, mature adult to be able to admit your mistake, that you've seen things differently. In fact, you have J.D. Vance, who called Trump the American Hitler. And now he's the vice president spouting these lies. So rather than appreciate the benefits of being able to change one's mind through better understanding, many will invent ways to cling to old beliefs. That's why you have even the head of the FBI saying you do not take a firearm to a protest, while completely ignoring cheerleading for Kyle Rittenhouse. You just move the goalpost and you change, all right, you special pleading, different rules for your team as opposed to the other team, instead of having it's like, it's a nice way or a more proper way of saying, or as they would in Harvard Law School, say, hypocrite or a double standard, you're special pleading. One of the most common ways that people do this is to post-rationalize a reason why what they thought to be true must remain to be true. Because it's my team. They're all pro-Second Amendment when it's their team doing it, but they're dead set against it when it's not. It's usually very easy to find a reason to believe something that suits us. And going by a good vibe is not a good way to determine that something is true. And here is the heart of the matter right here. This is why we are here with people being murdered in the street. It requires integrity and genuine honesty with oneself to examine one's own beliefs and motivations without falling into the trap of justifying our existing ways of seeing ourselves and the world around us. Our view of the world is going to be distorted to some degree. None of us has 100% of the truth, although the people in a cult will always look to the leader of the cult as being the only one that's telling the truth. And that's the hallmark, one of the hallmarks of cults. Everybody else is wrong. Don't believe your own eyes. Believe the leader of the cult. And what cult members will do is they will never hold the leader of the cult to the same standard that they hold people outside of the cult. Again, technical phrase here is called special pleading. And I'm not going to get into cults in this video. It's not the purpose. But if you are honest and you have integrity and you want to look and try to find the truth, if you look at a cult, whether it's a modern day cult or, a historical one, if you look at a cult, you'll find that one of the defining features is that you have to use special pleading, or you have to use different standards that apply to the cult and don't apply to the cult. I mean, this is really easy to see if you're being honest. And here, this is a very recent example of special pleading. MAGA holds this guy, the ones who hate immigrants and no one believes you when you say you want them here legally. You don't care about law and order because, again, 34-time felon. You don't care about law and order because you don't care about ICE and Border Patrol not giving people due process. You don't care that they're violating the Fourth Amendment by not having a warrant and going into somebody's house. You don't care. You just hate immigrants. You're just you're just a xenophobic. You're just xenophobic. That's what it comes down to. You just don't like people who are different than you. But this is it. And again, I'm talking about this because we are a nation of immigrants, and you can't do genealogy, at least in the United States, and not have some part of your family have been immigrants. Go look, if you're in the United States and your family is not Native American, you eventually go back to immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. I'll do say for another video all the positive things that immigrants have done. So to end this video, try to at least examine your own. I know I do every day. Try to examine your own view of the world or your own opinions on things. Do you have a really good reason for believing what you believe? Is it just because a religious leader told you, or is it just because a political leader told you, or are you looking at the facts and you have a solid reason and not just a vibe? I mean, so many problems are caused in this world because people take things as true on a vibe. Well, give me a good feeling. Again, do you want your doctor operating on you based on a vibe? No, you want solid evidence. Do you want someone going, an attorney arguing your case in court based on a vibe, or do you want evidence based on solid reasoning and not special pleading? Not this foolish aversion to being wrong. And it is foolish. It is foolish, and it's not taking our opinions and view of the world seriously that has led to murder in the street, and those murders on 4K video being justified, and how a VA ICU nurse being branded in minutes after his murder as a domestic terrorist. That all stems from a lack of critical analysis and looking at our beliefs. Do we have a firm foundation? Do we have a logical, rational basis to hold the view we have? Or are we being misled by cretins like this?
Expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who were taking houses that ought by right go to America.
A little bit of critical analysis, just a little bit of remembrance of what happened in 2021 and 2022 may have avoided the nightmare that is at our footsteps right now.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.